Thank you, Peter. And hello, everyone. Welcome to our coverage as the match is about to get underway, but there will be some formalities leading up to that with the rendition of both national anthems, and they will be pausing for a minute's silence as a mark of respect for the passing just on an hour and a half ago to the super coach Jack Gibson. And I'll have a little bit more to say about that as we move up to that minute's silence. But this crowd, which has been well documented and talked about as not filling the Sydney Cricket Ground, it's a very vocal crowd. Sure, there's plenty of vacant seats. 17th Test match at the Sydney Cricket Ground between these two nations, and the 112th time they've met. Wayne Bennett, of course, the X Factor. He's there with Stephen Kearney, who was the youngest player ever to captain a national side. And of course, he's been schooled under Craig Bellamy, who's looked upon now as the #1 coach in the game, maybe on a ranking level with this man, Wayne Bennett, or maybe just superseding him. Kearney, of course, he came to Australia as a youngster. He played with Western Suburbs for a number of years, and then with distinction, of course, in Melbourne, and then captain the New Zealand national side at 21 years of age. The pale blue and maroon jumper is the one that's being worn tonight. The unification of New South Wales and Queensland as they do battle for Australia. They didn't wear on this night 100 years ago the maroon and sky blue. In fact, they wore the sky blue jumper of New South Wales, and the first exhibition of that jumper was in 1908, 1909 on a Kangaroo tour. So the Kiwis, they leave the dressing rooms. They wore the all black on this night 100 years ago. Prior to that, of course, they were known as the All Golds, and in 2007 Dally Messenger played for New Zealand as a member of the All Golds. So the Aussies leaving one of the famous dressing rooms, a famous ground, hosted league test matches between 1914 and 1986, and this is the first time test football has returned since that time. That's the member stand, and New South Wales, the Australians I should say, coming from the side of the member stand closest to the Brewongle, and the Kiwis housed adjacent to the MA Noble on that end of the member stand. The Australians breaking into a jog as they come out to line up for the national anthems. Not only is it 100 years ago to the day since these two countries first met, it's also the first night test match at the Sydney Cricket Ground. A shot of young Folau. What a memorable year he had last year. Australia have not lost here at the Sydney Cricket Ground since 1974, shooting for their 12th win in succession. Much of the Kiwi endeavour, I think, will centre around the wholehearted performance of the 17, but very much the skills of Sonny Bill Williams. Well, Jack Gibson passed away at 6:32 tonight at the Garrawarra Centre waterfall, surrounded by his family, who've asked that Jack's many friends not to feel too sorry. Jack would not want that. It was his own strong belief and appreciation that he had a very fortunate life. He was surrounded by Judy and Susan and Tracy and Joanne, Matthew and young John, and of course Luke, his elder son, predeceased him. So here at the Sydney Cricket Ground tonight, on a very special night and a very sad night, we pause to pay respects to the passing of the super coach, Jack Gibson. The marvellous man he was. Parramatta with 3 titles, 2 with Eastern Suburbs in those days, 74-75. He coached at Eastern Suburbs, St George, Newtown, South, Parramatta and Cronulla. And it is true he left every club in better shape than when he started. Now, let's pay a minute's silence in respect for Jack Gibson.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
So for New South Wales and Queensland viewers, there will be a special Jack Gibson, the super coach, on screens at 15:30 on Sunday. Jack Gibson then. Played strong, done fine. I think he did better than that. He was the finest. Now the anthem of New Zealand, God Defend New Zealand, performed by Jeff Sewell from the multi-platinum band Amici Forever. Rendition with the New Zealand national anthem, God Defend New Zealand, from Jeff Sewell from Amici Forever. Can the players rival that? We'll stand by now for the Australian national anthem. This will be performed by Julia Messenger, who was the great-granddaughter of the legendary Dally Messenger. Julia, a singer and songwriter in her own right, and Dally was here 100 years ago today.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is good by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every state advance Australia fair. In joyful strings, then let us sing, advance Australia
Wonderful ceremony. The team of the century at the front. Australia in their pale blue and maroon jumpers, flanking them. Together, of course, with the New Zealand Kiwis, who are about to perform the haka. Pitch looks beautiful. The Bundaberg Rum Centenary Test just a couple of minutes away. So the challenge, the native challenge, the haka. What will Willie do out there now?
Mate,
plenty of fire and brimstone in the haka, as there was in the anthem. And I'm not downplaying that performance. It was a brilliant rendition of the New Zealand anthem. They will defend the Paddington end of the ground. New Zealand, Jonathan Thurston in the green headgear, the green and gold headgear, as Australia prepare to defend the Randwick end of the ground. This match, as I said, a century ago, was played about 200 yards away on the surface of the Sydney Showground.
Make sure you stay behind.
And New Zealand quite happy to keep the Australians waiting. They've been in formation to receive the kick for a number of minutes now. New Zealand, after the haka, actually got together, had another team chat. The talk is now out of the way. Time for action.
Brett Webb it is who kicks off from Leeds to the Sydney Cricket Ground. He kicks off, and Seven Asiva, upwards of 30 test matches, brings it back for Australia to play the ball back and away for Cameron Smith to go to the right and pick up Brent Kite. And Kite will play the ball back on his own 20-metre line. They go towards the Bill O'Reilly stand side of the ground, and Michael Crocker is tackled, and it was a thumping tackle that drove him down from Sedimata Sarr, the number 3 on that far side, guarding that side with Nightingale, who's on debut over there. In fact, he only debuted at the top level 12 months ago this weekend. As Seven Asiva goes charging again. He's 15 metres short of halfway, the end of the count, and it goes to Thurston, who kicks, and it goes straight down to Sam Perrott, and Perrott has tackled middle ground on his own 30-metre line. So Perrott from the Sydney Roosters plays it back to Brent Webb, who loses it. There looked to be a double knock-on, but the referee plays advantage Australia.
No, you're right, Ray. Seen 2 knock-ons. And a poor start there. They did well. They forced Jonathan Thurston to kick from his own half. They got the football on the full. And Paul Gallen has forced a mistake by knocking the ball out of the carry from Brent Webb, one of the players across from the English Super League.
And Peter, for the Australian fans, I can tell you that Mark Gasnier is playing on the left-hand side of the field and Justin Hodges in his more preferred right centre position. So that's how the 2 Australian centres will line up. Hodges to the right, Gasnier to the left.
Greg Bird is with the ball, and they've gone towards the Hodges side of the ground. Ball being played 25 metres away from the line now. And another wonderful opportunity here for Australia down at the Paddington end. And it's Seven Asiva who plays the ball. They go back to Gallen, then to Thurston. The ball is with Slater. He floats it out, but it's gone too high. Over the outstretched fingers of Inglis playing left wing.
It's very hard sometimes when you get good field position early in the game. You want to put on one of the plays you've practiced, and you're not quite ready for it. You'd rather just get a few tackles up and a few hard runs, and suddenly you slip into one of your set plays and zoom, ball goes out over the sideline. That's a relief for the Kiwis.
So Slater to Inglis reminds me that viewers in Victoria through GTV are with us live tonight, as you will be for the Origin matches and the grand final this year. So welcome to our southern audiences live tonight through GTV. Here's Folongo, who's brought down just outside the Kiwi 20-metre line. Australia over the years have won something like 80% of matches played, test matches and World Cup. That's Williams, Sonny Bill. Ball played there inside his own 40-metre line. Now for their captain, for the 7th time, Roy Asatasi, captain of South Sydney. A win still in the nostrils from the weekend. Now Kalis goes up, and he's tackled on the halfway line, Nathan. And a penalty for a high shot goes to New Zealand.
Yeah, I think you find Paul Gallen, the man on screen now. Drilled to have gone too high. Bounces up. Asatasi, the skipper for New Zealand, not impressed. And Australia had a great chance. Now New Zealand, they're first with Simon Mannering. Good player, this young man. Keep an eye on him, the 12.
20-metre line. Played by Mannering. Oh, did he knock on Isaac Luke? No, he fumbled it and caught it before it hit the ground. So the debutant plays it 10 metres away from the line. And it goes back to the number 10 for the Kiwis, and that is Nathan Kalis. 34 test matches tonight. Played back again for Luke and goes over to Lulawai. Then it's with Webb, and Webb is tackled 12 metres away from the line. 9 tries in 16 test matches for Webb. Now Lulawai again for Kalis, and Kalis' tackle. Centre ground in front of the Rendwick uprights on tackle 5. Isaac Luke gives it away. It's gone out to Lance Higher. The ball is higher, and it's pulled down by Israel Folau. 2 tries in Wellington in October, and pulling it down, youngest test player ever in Australian history. So play comes out to the 30-metre line, and it's a grinding performance by Justin Hodges. The penalty goes to the Australians.
There wasn't a great set of 6 in attack there from New Zealand, and a poor ending. That's Isaac Luke doing some miraculous work not to knock on. But the kick was too far out, was uncontested. Folau is superb in the air, as indicated there. And then a penalty given away halfway through the count. That's Michael Crocker take it 30 out, first tackle.
On the 30-metre line, New Zealand's end of the ground. And here is Brent Kite with the ball now. 20 metres in from touch on the eastern side of the ground. Cameron Smith for Petro Sivanasiva. Thurston, and he got the ball away for Hoffman. Hoffman will play it, 12 out, right in the middle of the ground. Cameron Smith throws a dummy, then gets it back to Sivanasiva. There was a point from the New Zealanders for obstruction, but that is refused by the referee. So Australia again with Paul Gallen, a surge towards the uprights, and he's forced down 3 metres out on tackle number 5. Smith is looking around for Thurston. He finds him. Thurston chips over the top, and they try to... Hang on a moment. This is interesting. It's been batted back into the field of play by a leaping Australian flanker. It was Greg Inglis. He has flown outside the dead ball arena and raked it back into the waiting arms of another Australian.
Well, this is a reverse angle, and the chasers, as you can see, they're behind the kicker. It looks as though that he's going to knock this straight over the dead ball line. Oh, that is freakish.
Gasnier is the try scorer.
Oh, and he's won the triple jump, then setting it up.
Gasnier is the try scorer. I can't see anything wrong with it. Inglis flies outside the line, but he leaves the in-goal area to do it. That's legal, and legal.
Well, the only way it would be illegal is if after it came off his chest it hit the New Zealand player, but it didn't. Green light about to be displayed, first points of the night.
We'll take a break, back in a moment.
It's Holden's mid-year clearance, 60 years in the making. We're offering fantastic...
Done, Sydney Cricket Ground, I'm sure. The athleticism of these young players today, I'm just wondering what might be floating through the minds of Norm Provan and Johnny Raper, and even Reg Gasnier, the uncle of the try scorer, as this kid, Greg Inglis from Bowraville, flew outside the dead ball line to rake it or bat it back for Mark Gasnier to score.
And a precision kick by the man about to take the conversion, got it over the head of the New Zealand winger, and in stature, they are short of the wingers. It will be a target. And Thurston normally brings them way back right to left. This won't come back enough.
Yes, it does! Oh, you've caught the disease. You've got myxomatosis, Sterling. You're gone. You are with little rabbits. You are in the pen.
Well, that sets a precedent, doesn't it? If we see a better try than that tonight in conversion, we are in for a special evening.
Matthew John sideline.
What about this, Rabbits? I mean, the talent of the outside backs, the talent and the athleticism is taking the game to a new level. You'll see that on highlight reels for as long as the game's played.
Well, they talk about this game, and I continue to be amazed at the antics and the athleticism of these youngsters who really, they should be applying for pilot's licenses. The things they do in the air is just numbing.
And Rabs, I just had a look at the conversion on replay. It did come back enough.
For Victorian viewers who may not have heard us, I am known as the Prince of Mocks, and Peter doesn't mind telling people that. So tonight he's fallen in his own mire, which is quite nice. So the kick has found the line. It'll come back. That's the conversion. Here it is. It's coming back, Pete.
It's gonna miss. It
was never going to miss.
Never going to miss. You're right.
So Jonathan Thurston his radar is on. Greg Inglis is flying below the radar, and Mark Gasnier is on track. So, that try undoubtedly would have dealt a cruel blow to some of the New Zealanders as they bring it away to the 20-metre line, their own end of the park with Mannering.
Ray, New Zealand need to steel themselves into the mindset that if they are going to be scored against, it is going to take something like that to break them. They'll cop that. Nothing they could have done about that. They've got to make sure there's nothing soft in points they give up as they keep it alive. Sonny B. Williams finds support. Lulawai.
And this is Soliola now. He will play the ball 9 metres from halfway. That was a desperate passage of play from New Zealand. They get a penalty. But it was, when I say desperate, they were throwing the ball about like a team that had about 60 seconds to score points.
Well, every penalty is welcome, but especially when they come late in the count. That was 4th tackle. They've done a lot of the hard work, Australia. They need to do some more now. Williams goes to the line.
40 metres away now from the Australian line with Asatasi to the middle of the ground. Roy Asatasi from Auckland plays the ball, and Isaac Luke, he's opened them up. Isaac Luke on debut. Tackled a metre from the line. Hohaya gets it away. New Zealand within 3 metres of the line. Thomas Lulawai from Wigan now to Hohaya. And he's going backwards to look and probe for an opening. And Kalis is tackled 12 metres out from the Australian line. Isaac Luke hasn't been playing top-grade football for 12 months. Nearly in for a try. The kick through from Lulawai is too deep.
Well, how did he not score? And I'm sure right at the end he wanted to take one last lunge at the line. A brilliant show of speed from this young Rabbitoh. Whoosh, straight through the back of the ruck. He gets to within an inch of the... Watch this. He wants to have one last lunge at it. Inglis came from side on. I'm sure he wanted to reach out. He was so close.
Thrilling start to the test match. To the Bundaberg Centenary test.
Well, Billy Slater might have thrown a nervous pass to start the game, but that try-saving tackle, it was something out of the box as well.
Hodges will play the ball now. For Cam Smith to pass, and it goes away to Gallen. Gallen to within 7 metres of the halfway line. The kick from Cameron Smith is going down towards the touch line. Webb's going to watch it, is he? No, he takes it. Almost got a toe on the sideline as Sam Perrott clears the danger zone, ran into Lulawai, loses the ball. So he will put a scrum down 20 metres out from the New Zealand line.
Well, he actually had a problem with one of his own players. Thomas Lulawai got in his way. He went sideways. That ball was raked out by Ryan Hoffman. Move his play on. There are a couple of different rulings tonight with the international rules being in place. 12 interchanges instead of the normal 10 that we have at club football. And no golden point tonight.
So John Thurston working the scrum, and they go with Slater through from Bird out to Gasnier. And Gasnier's tackle just outside the 20-metre line for Israel Folau now. And Folau 20 metres out still from the New Zealand line. 6-0 in favour of Australia as Smith goes with what looked to be a shade forward to Crocker. And Michael Crocker to play the ball. Down in the old Paddington Hill corner. Back for Sivanasiva. He sweeps it back. Second man Thurston. Then to Hoffman looking for an offload as he goes chasing through as Slater. And the ball to be played 11 metres out from the line. Smith again. Then to Bird. And Bird stands and offers. But by that time players had got themselves offside. Bird playing it back to Cronulla teammate Gallen. Gasnier. He'll score again, Gasnier. Mark Gasnier gets his second try. Neat work by the Cronulla combo, the Bruce brothers.
Very neat work. But they'll be disappointed, New Zealand. They fell asleep. For all intents and purposes, the ball was going right late in the tackle count. And that's where the markers went. And Gallen went one way, through the other. 2-on-2. Gasnier ended up 1-on-1. Gets his second.
That's my best mate, Jono.
Gasnier playing in this historic match in front of his uncle, Puff for Magic Dragon Reg Gasnier. And John Thurston will attempt conversion of Gasnier's second try. It's a more difficult kick, only slightly, on a little bit more of an acute angle. He's just inside touch and 22 metres out, kicking into the face of the Bradman stand. Thurston then, out it goes, wide, it's coming back and it takes the upright, bounces away, and 10-0 in favour of the Kangaroos. Laurie Daly.
Yeah, to compete against the Kangaroos, Rabs, you need to do everything right. You must make sure the attention to detail is there. On that occasion, the markers, they weren't working properly. They didn't communicate. They didn't count numbers down a short side, and you cannot leave this man Gasnier alone. Otherwise, he'll hurt you.
Yeah, the fact that the second marker didn't go to the right meant that Sam Perrott was faced with two of them coming at him at the same time. And this is Seven Asiva, who's driven sideways 11 metres away from his own line. 31 test matches for Petro, now the captain of Penrith, one of several club captains involved in the game tonight. From Cam Smith to Greg Bird to Paul Gallen. And Gallen is held 25 metres away from the Australian line.
Roy Azatazi's in a lot of trouble out there, Rabbits. He's back behind the line. He really can't straighten up and struggling to get back into the defence line. Trainer out there with him now.
And no doubt they'll be aiming something at him in just a moment if they decide to leave the captain out there. Slater made a run. Smith goes a few more metres before punching it with his left foot, and it bounces up there nicely for Nightingale. Nightingale is tackled in goal by Hodges. He's broken 10 for the 100, Hodges.
Well,
What a chase.
He just manhandled him. Picked him up like a rag doll and threw him back. Azatazi leaves the field. But the strength of Hodges. Nightingale had plenty of time to hurry his way back into the field to play. Hodges said, come here, get back there. You're not going anywhere. He's a brute, Hodges.
Some support coming in too in the form of Michael Crocker. It was a great chase from the back rower as movement on the Australian bench as well. Willie Mason about to come into the action after just 16.5 minutes. And the loss of Asatasi is huge. I'll get a report, but he's limping towards the bench in a pretty distressed way.
Brent Kite takes the line drop out from the boot of Brent Webb. It wasn't a big kick, and Australia immediately back on the attack with Bird working with Crocker going back on the inside. Smith now goes open side for Sivanasiva, and Petro is tackled 6 metres away from the line.
Kite off, Mason on.
Mason is into the game as Smith comes away to Gallen. Dummy, steps, pushes, shoves, and he gets it over for Australia's third try. Paul Gallen, in his first test match, scores at the Paddington end.
Well, that's the soft one that I was talking about earlier. First one was freakish. The second one, well, they just took them by surprise, that one. Paul Gallen, he's a strong man, but he's not tall, he's not overly big, but he's gone through the meat of the New Zealand defence, and that's a bad sign so early in this game. Gallen was chosen to play in Wellington last year, but agonisingly missed out through injury. He makes his debut tonight, and he marks that with a try.
Well, test match tries shouldn't come that easy. Even the previous one to Gasnier. And unfortunately, they just shell-shocked the Kiwis. The control and precision in the Australian side, they just seem to fall straight into their gate. Kick and chase well, put the pressure on. Too strong around the middle there.
So Thurston gets a simple shot at goal, and Australia go out to a 16-0 lead. The try per medium of Cronulla's Paul Gallen, and a rather contented Ricky Stewart, the Australian coach. Matthew Johns.
Yeah, just keep an eye on this man, Rabbits. The next 20 minutes till half-time, Billy Slater. Billy's got a great sense when an opposition's getting beaten in the middle third and they're vulnerable. I'm seeing him start to pop up around that middle. I think he's ready to explode.
So Brent Webb restarts us again. Not to the liking of New Zealand, and Sivanasiva trundles it back towards the 20-metre line. A lot of people, as you would have heard, have been telling us that Australia would win and win easily, and all at the moment it's on cue. TAB Sportsbet in New South Wales wrote a bet tonight for 100,000 on Australia at $1.18, and they're telling me, TAB Sportsbet, that though the match might have been a foregone conclusion, it's the biggest night they've had of investment on rugby league this year. Easily their biggest night ever, or should I say biggest night this year. To the right they go, to Falau now. Down and up again and tackled on the 30-metre line.
Well, someone's probably found out they're giving away free money, Rabbits.
Thurston, and now for Cam Smith, who was able to almost embarrass Isaac Luke. The kick off the boot of Thurston, and it's too deep. Rolling away out towards what might be the pickets.
Yes, and a reprieve there for New Zealand. Defence was good. Carl Webb warming up on the sideline. He too makes his debut tonight for Australia. Adam Blair is the man that is out there for New Zealand. Came on for Roy Asatasi. Asatasi's on the bench, not receiving too much attention. We may see him back.
This is Sam Pirrett, and that's Roy Asatasi. And the Kiwis struggling now to break this Australian defence. Sivan Asiva involved in the first tackle, then the second tackle, and Isaac Luke, he fell awkwardly there under the tackle of the big man the second time. The 16 is Adam Blair for New Zealand. They're just on the Australian side of halfway. 3 tries to Australia. Mark Gasnier 2, Paul Gallen 1, 2 goals to Thurston, and this kick going down to Slater. He's got Falau with him. Everywhere you look, there's a Melburnian. 8 of them involved in both sides here tonight. Slater and Falau on that right side playing alongside each other on many occasions. Here's Falau now. He's 8 metres short of halfway. Slater the dummy half. Mason now with the ball. And a carry by Mason sees a penalty go.
Got to come 10, Isaac.
Against Isaac Luke for not being back the 10. Cam Smith, captain of the Melbourne Storm, will kick for touch and find it over on the eastern side. 16-0, 3 tries to 0. And a near miss for New Zealand with Isaac Luke's contribution. And the score was at 10-0. Sivan Asiva there. Centres play. And playing it back to Smith. Mason wants a run, likes to shoot from close range, and is tackled 7 metres out from the line. Smith then looking again for Thurston, decides to go himself, and he crawls over. And the referee wants to have a look, I guess, for double movement. Was there a hand on Cameron Smith? Had the ball touched the ground, or the arm carrying the ball touched the ground? And did he then have a second dive? Did he have a little wriggle? And I think he may have. Was there a hand still on his foot?
Well, it doesn't look as though he's extended the arm to get there. He's sort of bounced well. He's had a bit of a crawl, I suppose. Bit of an army crawl along the ground. He snuck a little lunge in there, I think. He's down. Yeah, a little lunge. They won't give him that one. But it was soft defence again. Yeah. Gee whiz.
But the fact there is some New Zealand contact with him when that elbow hits the ground. It wasn't too effective contact, but it was contact enough to constitute a double movement. Will be a penalty to the New Zealanders.
Yeah, well, I'm just wondering whether the tackler did in fact drop off, and therefore would he be entitled to go ahead with it?
Well, it only needs to be contact, doesn't it, Ray? I don't think there was anyone wrapped around his legs as such. Oh, there you go.
He's given a try anyway. So he's deemed that the tackler had lost contact with the attacker, and Cameron Smith then is free to improve the position of the football.
Well,
watch it again.
It's just too soft. The try is just too soft, and again, I think that was little Luke in there at marker, who was the marker when Gasnier went down the short side and beat them. Cameron Smith, that's just too soft for test football, and as you can see, they probably didn't have a good hold of him, and he was entitled to make the last little lunge.
So Cameron Smith joins the list of try scorers. Jonathan Thurston converts. Laurie Daly sideline.
Yeah, it's all about possession in this game, and Australia are dominating in that aspect of the game. When you've got the ball, you get fatigued, you start to make poor decisions, and the Kiwis, they just can't go with the Aussies at this moment. The Kiwis, they're slow off their line, and at the moment, it looks as though the Aussies are in for a real treat here tonight.
22 plays nothing. A look of exasperation on the face of Sonny Bill Williams. Australia running it back with Carl Webb. The third of those players on national duty for the first time in the ranks tonight. Gallen held back on his own 20-metre line, and eventually the call is there for held. Williams making the tackle on his opposite number. Here's Ryan Hoffman up to the halfway, 30-metre line, I should say. That's where we broadcast from at the cricket ground, down on the 30. And here is Bird trying to make a break, and he's 7 metres short of halfway. Play back to Gasnier, 2 tries tonight, and he's able to pass before hitting the ground. And back to Gallen it goes, and Gallen is tackled. And he now is 4 metres into New Zealand's area. For Thurston to put a kick in, he's put it out on the full, much to the delight of the Kiwis. So we'll come back for a scrum to form just on the New Zealand side of halfway, missing by about a metre.
Yeah, it's a rare blemish on Jonathan Thurston's kicking game. And the report from the sideline is that Roy Asatasi was physically ill down there, with some degree of concussion, but we believe he will come back into the game.
Changeover, not scrum, 40 metres out from the Australian line. Played there by the number 14, Jeremy Smith, and now it's gone away to Hohaya, who floats the ball away to Centenary. And Sarr is tackled 15 out from the Australian line. From Webb to Hohaya again. He's a couple of metres out from the line. Slater again involved in a try-saver. Swept away now by Nightingale. Out to Luluai. Tackle around the shoulders, says Klein, the referee. 5 tackles gone against the Kiwis, and Hohaya loses the ball. Advantage Australia.
Bring it out, Greg. Last tackle
And Greg Bird will play the ball, or Hodges has now taken the ball to play it.
Just taking our eyes off the action for a little bit, Ray, that the crowd here is sensational. It has really filled up in the last half hour before kick-off, and befitting of an occasion like this, a big audience in this ground, which is really special.
And Greg Bird it is, who crosses his own 30-metre line. He's taken down. You're quite right. In fact, when I was just building up to the start of the game, there were a lot of vacant seats, but many of those seats have been filled in the first 15 minutes of the game, and it's quite a healthy crowd for one that certainly wasn't predicted, as Cameron Smith puts a kick down towards the fullback Webb, and Brent Webb goes across to link up with winger Sam Perrott, and Perrott was able to beat the first but not the second, and here's a penalty.
Already made contact with the ground, you flopped on.
He's ruling that it was a flop, I believe.
Yeah, Jonathan Thurston, the man to have come in after the tackle had deemed to be completed. Not much he could have done to pull out of that, but the English referee, Ashley Klein, didn't like it. New Zealand will.
Just for our Victorian viewers, once a player is tackled and he's hit the ground, then nobody else can pile on top in the tackle to keep it simple. That's called a flop. Tupou is on, Gallen is off. Well, Gallen came off the blocks running, and he's still running, I would imagine, even though he's back on the benches. Penalty goes to the Kiwis. Player held, not in possession. Chance now for New Zealand to grab some points.
Yeah, nice work in close there. A couple of offloads. Michael Crocker grabbing Brent Webb before he'd received the football. New Zealand will not get a better opportunity. 6 tackles starting inside the opposition 20. Must have points.
Tackles taken by Luke, and this man charging ahead, Pritchard from Penrith. The free kicks are taken on the 10-metre line in from touch. Now it's gone along from Luluai to Jeremy Smith with the socks down, just inside the 10-metre line, middle of the ground, and running up towards the Randwick end. Isaac Luke holding it back, losing the ball is Adam Blair.
Leave him. Stand up, Justin, leave him.
Good defence from the Australians. That's one thing about this team when they smell blood in the water. The fact that they've got a good lead on the scoreboard doesn't take away from their intensity without it. And that time they swarmed in on the ball runner, gave him a little bit of what for, and they come up with a loose one.
And it was Jonathan Thurston making first contact. The halfback who rolled his ankle at training last night, flew Cooper Cronk up from Melbourne as his understudy. At one stage it looked as though he would be taking his place, but Thurston showing no ill effects at all. And defensively strong as always on the fringe, feeds the scrum, wins it. Oh, it's Inglis.
Greg Inglis in the familiar position on that occasion, or the traditional 5/8 position from the scrum. And here's Tupou, tackled on the 20-metre line in a 4-man New Zealand tackle, including Jeremy Smith. Here's Michael Crocker trying to thump his way out of the 30-metre line. Mannering making the tackle in number 12. Again involved in the tackle was Adam Blair. Now Carl Webb tries to shoulder through Isaac Luke, gets it back for Jonathan Thurston, and Thurston is tackled on his own 40-metre line. 22 plays nil. Australia over New Zealand in the Centenary Test match for Bundaberg Rum, and the kick is going down to bounce 2 and 3 and 4 times, and Nightingale eventually picks it up. There was certainly no need for that length of delay by Nightingale and Webb as they continue to bandage Nathan Kalis. And it is Sam Perrott who's tackled now on the 20-metre line, his own end of the ground, as Webb sweeps the pass away. And New Zealand, through Sedimata Sarr, played that ball, and now it's Sonny Bill Williams, and then Mannering. He gets it away to Nightingale. Nightingale, the Dragons winger. He puts a kick back into the middle of the ground, and it's easily cleaned up over here by Greg Inglis. Now he turns it around. First they were going left, now we're going right. Fend, step, and eventually he's put down Inglis by Perrott together with Jeremy Smith.
It's a fair reply, isn't it?
It is a fair reply. You play the left bow, here's the right. Gasnier will play it on the halfway line. Away from Slater to Thurston to Hoffman. And Hoffman will play it just on the New Zealand side of halfway. From Smith, it's gone to Webb, and Webb to Thurston. Cowboy to Cowboy, now to Mason, and Mason looking to get those arms free. Here they come, 4 of them in the black jumper. Pummeling him into the ground, Mason. So Big Willie.
We'd like to see that kind of defence on their own line, Ray, as Cameron Smith throws the dummy. Runs a couple of metres up the middle on the last.
Billy Slater there, acting half for John Thurston, and Thurston's kick skewers away off the outside edge. Nicely done by Nightingale. And 15 metres out from his own line, he plays it back for Webb to give it away for Sarr. And he's just outside his own 20-metre line. He's in an upright tackle at the moment, but Webb said, no way, you're going to the ground. Down to the dirt you go with Gallen's help. It's a very short break for Paul Gallen. 25 metres out from the New Zealand line there. At 22 points to 0. And this is Frank Pritchard, just inside the 40-metre line. They're standing in a little bunch behind the play the ball. Now Dean Hallertau is out there. 13th test match for New Zealand. It was amazing when I read that today. Dean, he's racked up a dozen test matches. As Lance O'Hire's kick. And what's it do? Oh, they've looked at the corner post and refused to touch it. So Slater takes the ball and the tackle.
Well, that was inch perfect. I don't think I've ever seen that before. It goes up and just goes straight up, perpendicular to the corner post and comes back. Is that the right word, perpendicular?
I think it means upward. Yeah, right angles to the ground, something like that. Now, Gasnier, just outside the 20-metre line. Tied up by Sonny Bill Williams and Dean Hallertau. This is Gallen. He's playing with a lot of exuberance that you would expect from a player on his first time round, Gallen. And as I said, it was a short break for him. Thurston's kick, taken out of it by Mannering, but it wasn't late. It was quite legal. He couldn't pull out of it. Now Nightingale, and he's upended and put away. Inside the 40-metre line. He's okay, Thurston. who was under this big cloud, big dark cloud for the last 24 hours, but choosing to play. Halatau's gone on for Luke. Now, this is Hohaya, who's been playing at number 1 for the Warriors. Lance Hohaya, I think he played at 5'8" for the national side before, though. And this is Pritchard with the ball, but a penalty's gone to New Zealand.
Well, Dean Halatau is out there as the dummy half. I'm surprised that they didn't leave Isaac Luke out there in a first or second receiver role. He is one player who is a danger to the Australians with the football. Thomas Luluai so far ineffective. Mannering takes it forward, sacrificed one out.
Running into the shoulder of Greg Bird. An assist from Justin Hodges and from Paul Gallen. Back now for Blair, and Blair is 7 metres from the line. Can they crack it? Can the New Zealanders put themselves on the board? Luluai, they go deep, and Webb was read by Gasnier. He knew they'd be looking for Webb. He scored a lot of tries at Test match level, Brent Webb, and here is another charge from Soliola. 9 metres out from the line, and again Gasnier and Webb involved in the defence. Now it's away for Smith, and he's tackled with the line 4 metres away on 5. So New Zealand with a chance. Halatau gets it away. It came off the boot of Hawaii. Up they go. Oh, look at Folau again. Right up above the pack, young Israel.
Well, which Australian winger do you kick to? Do you kick to Greg Inglis, or do you kick to this bloke? And I can say it's pretty fruitless to do either. Well, why would you bother?
Well, they've got to have learnt. Now you kick to the posts and bring them into play and get Billy Slater under one standing still. You definitely do not try and out-jump these two flanks.
Just looking at Thomas Luluai and Lance Hohaya, they could run under the feet of Israel Folau when he's in mid-air.
Well, he's nipping quite badly out there, Luluai. Mason a bit dusty as well. As Hodges gets out of dummy half.
And he made a recovery from that injury he suffered at Suncorp a few weeks ago. Thurston's kick going straight down to Perrott. And Perrott comes away out towards the 40-metre line, pursued and pulled down by Hoffman. Working hard, Hoffman, plenty of attack, plenty of defence. Now it's Nightingale, and he's 9 metres from the halfway line. Soliola is with the ball, and the other Roosters centre, they're using the Sydney Roosters centres, Sedimata Sarr and also Soliola. Not that they always play centres, and the ball knocked down. 6 more tackles is ruled, and this is Halatau, who will play the ball 9 metres into Australia's area. It's gone away from Luluai, gone on to Pritchard, who puts a little bit of a hop into his work and then looks round the corner to pop it, but there's nobody there. On the 30-metre line then, Hohaya takes a couple of paces, links up with Sonny Bill, and he's desperate to get rid of the ball, but he can't. He had it locked up by Tupou. Now it's on to Luluai, back on the inside for Blair, and Blair, he's put away. Centre of the ground, another of the Melbourne Storm octet who's in the game. Luluai, little grubbing kick. Here comes Perrott, here comes Slater. Slater gets there first, and we'll take a break and come back in a moment. So the camera is bringing you back, looking straight along the goal line, which Australia is guarding to perfection at the moment down at the Randwick end of this ground. First night test match at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Mannery up to the 20-metre line, and again a chance for New Zealand. And Halatau sees an opening up the middle. Marcus went to sleep, and he's 7 metres out from the line. Hohaya behind Pritchard. Out to Webb and on then to Luluai. Luluai to Sonny Bill, and Sonny Bill Williams is tackled. And his legs snapped from under him there by Cam Smith and John Thurston. Webb, Luluai, Hohaya, little kick, chase on, Folau grounds it, line drop out. Brilliant cover work there by the other Australian winger that time, Israel Folau.
Well, that's what you want from your back three. It's easy to chalk up their ability with the football, but it's what they do when the opposition have it as well. And we've seen Billy Slater already come up with 2 try-saving tackles. The winger's fully aware that this will be a tactic employed by New Zealand to slide the ball in behind the line.
Stay behind, guys.
What a season, 2007 for that man. Premiership, played in all 27 games. Youngest player to go on and represent Australia. Leading try scorer, and yet to play Origin football. That will happen in the coming weeks.
Here's Blair. And carry back. At least they've stopped the flow. 22nd minute was the official time of the Cameron Smith try. And obviously the amount of possession starting to swing back New Zealand's way. It was quite disadvantaged for them. Ball went to ground. Referee said play on. Quick hands, the halves. Ohio away. Mannering. Oh, no, not gone from Webb for mine. Ohio gets it away. Oh, good work by centre-back Assad. On to Nightingale, and Nightingale is tackled. 8 metres out, and he's just said that's zero tackle. Ohio to the 10. Lulawai inside it. Williams bumps them away. Lulawai backs up, and now it's Jeremy Smith with the ball. Crouches over. Penalty NZ.
All offside.
Offside Australia.
On the line, guys.
This time can they do it? Pritchard passes before the line. Lulawai tries to burrow through the line. And he'll play it back to his dummy half, Halata, who looks at Sonny Bill. He catches, passes. It's gone to Soliola. And Soliola will play the ball back for Perrott. They're still 10 metres out from the line. Williams finds himself as a distributor. Now it's gone away to Lulawai and on to Webb, and a short ball to Mannering, but Mannering had a defender putting a shadow across him. And now it's come out from Halata onto Ohio, onto Webb. And Webb will play it under the tackle of Cam Smith and Anthony Tupou. Out of cover. Oh, Ohio knocks on. Thinking about what I'm going to do with it.
Just watching New Zealand's last 3 or 4 sets of 6 down this end of the field, they're playing like they are in awe of the Australians. It's like they're intimidated. They can't seem to get into any flow. There's nothing that you would say here, well, this is what they're trying to target. And it's a little bit off the cuff, and that's about the 3rd time now someone's just dropped the ball cold, because they're looking up at the faces in front of them, and I think they're intimidated by the reputations in the scoreboard. They've got to settle down and play football, do the things that they've trained to do.
Let's go.
David Kidwell in amongst the bench, member of the squad. And Australia inside the 10. The last tackle of the first half was made on Paul Gallen, who's had a wonderful first 40 minutes, including a try. Gasnier a couple. 11 tries at test match level now for Mark Gasnier. And Cam Smith at the 22nd minute. So 4 tries, plays none. Stay with us. There's plenty to come after the break in our big Holden half-time. Our expert panel will have a look at all the action for the first half, featuring the Bundy big plays and the Gatorade Gator Cam. That's coming to you live on the home of the Centenary Test, right here on Channel 9.
Have you ever wondered how a love can lift you up but then take you down? Guess you never noticed all about something to lose in this round.
Test match football on Nine's Wide World of Sports. Welcome along to Holden half-time, and at the end of 40 minutes, Australia leading New Zealand by 22 points to nil. It was 22-0 after 22 minutes as we look at the first half statistics. Goal line defence has been a real worry for the Kiwis. 16 missed tackles, and I reckon if you break that down, probably a dozen of the 16 have been inside their 20. Joined at half-time by Matthew Johns, Laurie Daly, Ben Eichen. Ben, I thought going into tonight it was a win-win situation. If New Zealand fire, great, we've got a great contest. If Australia click, we're going to see fantastic football. We saw that in the first quarter of the match.
We did. Well, I was going to say we've seen one part of the equation, that is Australia click. I thought not only are they side dripping with talent, but they've been methodical in their approach. They've got all areas of the game covered. The players come here full of intensity, and we've seen that talent boil to the surface. Some great plays, great tries. Australia on fire. New Zealand, on the other hand, I think they've been poor, and it's, look, they've lacked intensity. I think they really need to use this second 40 to show everybody this is going to be a team that could possibly be a force come World Cup time at the end of the year.
The boys mentioned during first half commentary, Gus said how big this crowd built up, Laurie, in the last half hour before kickoff. There's young blokes out there in the crowd tonight that are thinking, I want to be just like Greg Inglis. I want to be just like Israel Folau. How good are they?
Well,
they'll unearth some new heroes tonight, these young fans. I mean, you look at the Australian backline and they're just class. I mean, Gaznia, Hodges, Folau, Inglis in particular when the ball's been in the air. Billy Slater at the back. We know Billy Slater's a great attacking player, but it's what he's done in defence tonight. He's saved a couple of try-scoring opportunities for Australia tonight. I just think it's been a clinical display by the Aussies, but more importantly, Ricky Stewart would have been happy by the way that they defended in that last 10 minutes when the Kiwis had all the ball.
All right, boys, let's rip into the Bundy Rum big plays for the first half, and I want Matthew Johns to talk about the first try, the work of Inglis for Gaznia.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bossy. It's a ripper. As I said before, as long as the game's played, that'll be on the highlight reels. Terrific. Love it. Great start to the night.
14th minute, we get to see the second try, Ben, and again, Mark Gaznia, this is where goal line defence, a real worry, and in fact, that was the story of the first quarter of the game.
Well, I think the last 3 tries of the half for the Aussies, it was poor defence from the Kiwis. They just simply shouldn't have scored them. First, it was Gaznia down the blind, then it was Gallen through the middle, and then this little sneaky one for Cameron Smith. There's no way knowing that should have been 4 points for the Aussies.
Well, as far as the controversy over the try, no dramas on that. No double movement for mine. When he went to make the second movement, there was no hand on him. Sure, a hand got to him, but it was late for mine.
Oh, look, I was okay with it. Look, there was no line speed by the Kiwis. Their first contact's been poor, and I'm sure that'll be addressed at half-time. But Ricky Stewart, talking to his troops, he'd be particularly pleased at how they're performing tonight. He'd want to see them go on in the second half and continue on in that vein.
You know what I've got to say? I mean, the thing I did say about before the Kiwis, they are looking poor and they do have to fire up. But what most disappointed me, they did come up with a couple of great plays. First through Isaac Luke, straight through the middle of the ruck. When he did break through, no support play. Second play down the sideline, Sonny Bill, Jason Nightingale kick inside. 5 Aussies, no Kiwis.
Live pictures coming from the New Zealand room and some very earnest discussions there with Stephen Kearney, the coach. Matthew Johns, let's highlight the good play of the Kiwis in the first half and how you think they have to do more of.
Yeah, I think tactically they've been a little bit hit and miss, boys. They started the game quite well. You know, the Kiwis, it's all about getting over that advantage line, play the ball quick and play direct. Benny touched on it. Isaac Luke early. And if we have a look at the play here, play the ball quick over the advantage line. I thought, here we go. This is the way they need to play. And other stages we've seen the Kiwis get over the advantage line, playing direct with a little bit of short passing. Here's another example. And what it does is isolates the Aussie defenders and puts them in a little bit of trouble. But we've seen too much of this, boys. Finessing the ball sideways, deep second man plays, and we're just picking them off. They've got to go back to upping the tempo in attack and just getting over the advantage line. Don't push the ball across the advantage line.
Well, it's all about identifying the ruck and the ruck speed. At times, the Kiwis will look good when they're played direct, but there's been no one in support. They've been caught on their heels a little bit too much. And it's also when they've used the ball to the edges, in particular that second man play you're talking about, they're coming off a slow play the ball. If they get momentum and all of a sudden they shift, they can find the Aussies in trouble.
Always great to have support of all our sponsors on the Channel 9 coverage. Holden Bundaberg Rum and Bundaberg Rum support and promote the responsible consumption of alcohol. And Gatorade, of course, are on board, Matthew, with Gatorade GatorCam. And we've got a 5'8" and Greg Bird, a Maitland boy, on show tonight, second time with a number 6 for Australia.
Well, I think Craig Bellamy will watch this game with interest. Greg Bird playing in the 5'8" jersey. And the great thing about Bird's display tonight is he's played a lot of first receiver. You know, he's got in there and he's handled the ball sometimes more in first receiver than Jonathan Thurston. He's just a powerhouse. Now, Sonny Bill Williams, boys, tonight, I think he typifies the Kiwi display. A little bit hit and miss. I love this sort of stuff. Over the advantage line, nice and strong, but he's just skimmed across the advantage line too much.
Ben, what I will say about Sonny Bill tonight, and it was noticeable in the first 10-15 minutes, and it was something we talked about on the Sunday race last week, getting to play both sides of the field. I like it, left and right.
And it's been fantastic because he's got a great sense for the game. I actually watched him the last 20 minutes of that half, really focused on him. He moved all around the field. He was the one that really tried to set up the Kiwis to get themselves on the front foot and post those first points. They never come, but he's really got a feature in their second half if they're going to be a chance.
Boys, you know what I love about Bird, you know, is that he's just got a great arrogance for football. He's got a great arrogance. If the game was on the line with 5 minutes to go, he'd be calling the ball. He believes he's the best player on the field. I love him. I think he'll be enormous for New South Wales
You love everything that comes from Maitland, though, but I do appreciate what you're saying. Final thought, Ben, second half, second 40 minutes.
I think we'll see more of the same from the Aussies. I hate to say it.
Mate, it won't be a bad thing. We're in for a treat.
I hope not. Look, if Wayne Bennett's influence has rubbed off over this Kiwi side, they will play for the full 80 minutes. I'm expecting a bit of performance out of the Kiwis in the next 40 minutes.
All right, Matty, you get the last word.
Slater, Inglis, Gaznia, Hodges, Folau. Mate, it's the Harlem Globetrotters. I love it. It's beautiful.
22-0 at half-time. That is Holden half-time. Now, folks, as you heard just before kick-off, at 6:32 tonight, the passing of a rugby league legend in Jack Gibson, the super coach, the coach of the team of the century. And on Sunday afternoon at 3:30 on Nine's Widewater Sports, we'll present a half-hour tribute to one of the great men of rugby league. So please tune in for that before our afternoon game at 4 o'clock. So 3:30 Sunday afternoon, our tribute to the Super Coach. We'll take a break right now. Test football tonight on Channel 9. Stay with us. You're going to love the second half.
Holden Half Time, brought to you by the new Holden Ute. With electronic stability programs standard across the range. Evolution ends here.
Welcome back to the Sydney Cricket Ground, where the Centenary Test is taking place between Australia and New Zealand 100 years to the day that these trans-Tasman combatants did battle at the adjacent Sydney Showgrounds. A match that was lost by Australia 11-10 on that occasion. Wayne Bennett and Stephen Kearney, the coach, the young Kearney and the master Wayne Bennett, looking at the scoreboard, which is bare, and Ricky Stewart urging his players to keep going. A shot of the members' stand from which the New Zealanders come back out. Let's hope with renewed vigour. Some of the tries they let in were just too soft, putting it bluntly. The first try, though, was an absolute ripper of a try. I trust you were with us and saw it. It will go down as one of the more memorable tries I've ever seen. The first of two tries for Mark Gasnier, as this young man, Inglis, flew through the air, out of the in-goal area, across the dead ball line, batting it back for Gasnier to catch it and put it down. Absolutely sensational. There's the Bill Kelly Memorial Trophy. Bill Kelly, one of 4 players to play with both Australia and New Zealand through the period 1912 to 1914. And when wounded in World War I, that was the end of his football career. He won the title with Balmain in 1939. And that trophy will be presented at the end of the night to the winning captain. They'll meet again before the end of the year, undoubtedly. Maybe once, maybe twice, as we embark on the World Cup, which starts a fortnight after the conclusion of our premiership. Billy Slater on debut, starting like lightning in his Test career. Taken by Hohaya, made what probably should be simple look a bit difficult. This is Nightingale. Peter Sterling with me and Phil Gould. And this is Adam Blair backing into a tackle, and Paul Gallen continuing to hand out some medicine. Then Frank Pritchard, now Sonny Bill Williams. As New Zealand carry the football to the 35-metre line. Halatau goes for a run from dummy half. Probably not expected on the first set. He makes the halfway line, so they're good metres. Luluwai turns it in for Williams, and Williams again turning and looking. But again, no support runners. Something I can't quite work out with players that play alongside Sonny Bill. I would have thought it was a great idea just to follow him. Wherever he goes, follow him. Down on the 10-metre line, Australia's end. It was taken in by Gasnier. Slater goes to Inglis now.
And not a bad set of 6 to start the second half for New Zealand, and some driving defence there helps their cause. About 33 players in action tonight. The only man yet to see any game time, Kurt Gidley, off the bench for the Australians. Keen to find out when he will come in and how he'll be used. This is Halatau getting out of dummy half.
Yeah, just looking at that, Peter, I don't know why he didn't promote the ball. Look at the space on the outside. Soliola and Perrott are unmarked. Now, if he was playing for the Tigers on the weekend, he would have been searching for support and putting that out on the outside. Playing in a test match against Australia, he didn't even look. That's what I talk about, being intimidated by the faces in front of you.
Brent Webb working with Sam Perrott to bring the ball back from inside their 20-metre line. The Kiwis, as it comes away for the other winger now, Nightingale, who's done a good job over there. He's had a bit of work to do. He's been a good backstop for Brent Webb, who was dummy half then, and now it's Mannering out to the 40-metre line for the men from the Shaky Isles. 22-0 the score. Pritchard to the line and takes the line on that time. We'll play it in centre field. Play back for Dean Halatau, and away for Thomas Luluwai, then for Williams, and a good ball. Now for Soliola. Soliola, one to beat. Support with him, steps and scores.
tackles needed and will give them some confidence. Nice work down the short side, and Sonny Bill Williams showing his tremendous ball playing ability. But he had plenty to do. Sia Soliola. Down the short side again, Lulawai onto Williams, a little flick. And then too much speed on the outside, defend. Positioning Webb to go towards the post, but he took it himself. And New Zealand finally on the board.
Well, Phil Gill, we welcome our viewers back. Talk us through Sia Soliola, who has scored this try, the first for the Kiwis.
Well, we just highlighted earlier where Dean Halliday had him open on the outside and didn't pass it to him. Sonny Bill Williams is one player that's not worried about the reputations in the Australian side. He does his thing. He went across the field, found Soliola in space, and the big lad just roared away and scored the try. They've kicked the goal. That's going to look better, 22-6.
Matthew John sideline.
Yeah, just have a look at this play again. That's a little bit better for the Kiwis. Just taking that ball over the advantage line. Not worrying too much about the long, structured plays. Bit of short passing. Soliola, it's just a powerhouse. Bit of life in the Kiwis yet, boys, but big, a really important set now coming up for New Zealand. In bad field position, they've come up with errors. They've got to get through this next set of 6.
Well, that was Jeremy Smith who took the conversion to turn 4 into 6, and I believe that normally it would be Isaac Luke taking that kick. They've got to get Luke back into this game.
And here's a buffeting from the Australian forwards on Adam Blair. Carried him back 4 or 5 metres, and he's not tackled. Sam Perrott, he's up and gone again. The desperate grab by Mason, it fell off, and now it's gone to Pritchard and gone on to Webb, and Webb away to Soliola. Sia Soliola again, down the right side, inside the 30-metre line. Good effort by the Kiwis. Swept away by Hallertau. On to Lulawai. Now for Jeremy Smith.
And I say Luke back into the game, not for Hallertau.
Hallertau from the West Tigers to Sonny Bill Williams to Brent Webb to Soliola, and he's tackled with the line 10 metres away. Touchline 2 metres away on the eastern side. Williams again. Back it comes for Pritchard. Pritchard is held and will play the ball on tackle 5. 5 metres out from the Australian line. Back now for Lance O'Hire. Puts a kick in. Oh, what a catch. What a catch by Billy the Kid. Slater.
Well, it was a miracle catch. A real slips grab. What's this? O'Hire tries to get it out to the corner. There's even a ricochet off one of the other Australians. I think it came off Anthony Tupou. And Slater was able to get the grab.
Now for Gallen. Mannering is with him in defence, and O'Hire goes in as well with a chopping tackle together with Sedimata Sarr. Now for Brent Kite, and a conventional tackle head on from Dean Hallertau. Almost to the halfway Australia. At 22 plays 6 now in favour of Australia. The ball sent down the ground to Perrott, and Perrott, who made his national debut last year. He will play the ball now back to Brent Webb, and Webb to the blind side to Williams. Williams still going and tackled 40 metres out from his line.
He senses something down that right-hand side of the field, Sonny Bill. He got back there in a hurry to scream for that.
Maybe it's the attraction of having Soliola over there, because he has been making some big inroads in the early part of the second half. And here is Adam Blair now. 7 or 8 metres. The Australian bench with Mason and Crocker there, and Carl Webb in the foreground. So New Zealand get it back to the 30-metre line, Australia's end of the park, the Sydney Cricket Ground. Away it comes now for O'Hire, and his kick goes down to Slater, and Slater is not troubled by it, and it'll go back out to the 20 for the restart.
No, don't like that at all. No pressure in that kick whatsoever for the Australians. They've got to try testing the posts and putting Slater under some pressure. A kick kicking to the sidelines for no result.
Come on, move in the lane, Jeremy. Lead him, Paul. Come on. Hey, you got him.
And little things like that, they're momentum breakers. They've had the play in the opening 6 or 7 minutes in this second half, but now after giving the football away cheaply through that kick, they also give away a penalty for a high tackle up around the neck of Paul Gallen, and all of a sudden Australia now in the opponent's half with a full set and they'll have the wind at their sails.
Here's Brent Kite. Tackle just outside the New Zealand 30-metre line. Play going down the centre with Sivanasiva, taken by Mannering. And getting some help there from Frank Pritchard. Now Smith works it back across the back of the ruck and down the right side for Lau. And then he's crunched into the ground by Sedamatasar. 12 metres out from the line. Here is Cameron Smith shrugging away from the front marker, taken by the second marker, Nightingale. They try to put him over the sideline, but they fail in their endeavours. As Smith plays the ball, Gallen gets it away, Thurston punches it out wide, then Greg Bird does the same. Hoffman puts a step together, got rid of Saliola. Hoffman takes it over towards that eastern sideline, and he'll play the ball 18 metres away from the Kiwi line. Gasnier dummies one way, then comes back, puts a kick in towards the uprights, beautifully taken by Nightingale, in the in goal. So the referee will order the 20-metre tap. Nightingale had the crossbar and the upright to contend with, and he was in goal, which means just a free carry out to the 20 for the restart. Now from Smith, it's gone to Williams, and there he goes again, running play towards that right side. They're just outside the 30-metre line. Here is Perrott with another good run. He's proving evasive, isn't he? The Roosters winger and full back. Now the 13 for Longo. Tackled right in the middle of the ground, right in the middle of the cricket pitch. Played back for Halatau to run free. And about 10 metres gained by this very good dummy half, who plays back row centre equally as well. Now for Lulawai from Wigan, kicking it down to the in goal for Folau. And the big youngster comes out 15 from his own line. 22-6, 50 minutes gone in the game as Justin Hodges runs into traffic, and he'll play the ball on the 20-metre line. 20 metres in from the members' stand, side of the ground. This is Brent Kite, just outside the 20-metre line.
The Kangaroos need someone to stand up here and make a big play. They've just fallen into a little bit of a slumber at the moment.
Hoffman,
this might be it.
Here's Gasnier. Gasnier in and away, and then passes. Kick by Slater, marked by Thurston, but it went forward from Gasnier, in my opinion. And referee Klein will pack a scrum.
And that's where it's going to come from. Getting the ball quickly to the edges with these fast centres and wingers. That's where they've got it on New Zealand. And on this occasion, Hoffman was able to get a one-hander around the corner. Now the athleticism takes over. Gasnier bursts into the backfield, couldn't quite position his support.
And it was that final pass, the one out the back of the hand from Gasnier, that was deemed to go forward. That was a reverse angle, and now we come back live with New Zealand running it away outside their 40, and look at Dean Halatau making metre after metre. It's an invitation up the middle, and surely they're going to learn from it. Some of his colleagues out there. Now it's Talongo, and Webb has gone into dummy half, and it's called by Jeremy Smith. He's with the ball, second man. Tallulah wide now to Soliola. Bad pass. Gasnier is on him, and they're 20 metres out from the line now, the New Zealanders, as it comes across again for Lulawai to wave players in, and he gives it to the first runner. That was Jeremy Smith in jumper number 14. He'll play the ball 10 metres away from the Australian line. 57 metres on this set of tackles. A little stabbing kick. Sedamatasar can't quite hold it. I think he had a second chance at it, but it beat him both times. Line drop out, Australia.
And looking much more enterprising, New Zealand, this second half. It's now half an hour since Australia last scored through Cameron Smith. And a decision made, well, it's actually come off Justin Hodges, and he's pushed it back onto a New Zealander. But we're coming back for a restart under the posts.
Smith taking it, the captain.
I did touch Greg Inglis last.
Higher, passing for Careless, with the head heavily bandaged now. So New Zealand again go inside the 30-metre line with Mannering, and more space is offering up the middle with Nightingale now running on the edge. He'll play the ball 15 metres out as they get it more towards centre ground. Halatau again. Out he goes, passes. Lulawai goes back. Webb is there in support. Williams is there. Soliola's got the football. And Soliola is 2 metres away from the corner post. And back it comes from Webb to Williams again. And Sonny Bill gets it away to Jeremy Smith. Can he get it down? No, he can't.
Great defence.
Held up by Australia's online defence. And the ball comes spewing out, and he'll penalise. Klein is penalised.
Well, that may be try-saving tackle number 3 from Billy Slater. I know he had some help there as the claret starts to flow. New Zealand warming to their task, and Sonny Bill Williams getting in behind the front line, the arm free, found support in the outside in Jeremy Smith.
Take him out the back.
Halatau will restart. 10 out, 10 in.
And sends Folongo towards the Australian defence. He ran it straight at Cameron Smith. They're now 2 metres away from the line. Decoy on the blind side. They come open to Kalis. He's wrestled down by the Australians. 8 metres out from the line now. Halatau again, and Halatau decides to have a go himself. He loses the ball, Halatau. Knock on, scrum, Australian, loose head and feed.
When they're in those attacking situations, New Zealand, they tend to take too many settlers before they actually put anything constructive on. As it is, it just eats up their set of 6, and they're not having enough shots at them. They've got to get the ball to this man a couple of times each set of 6, Sonny Bill Williams, and he almost got a one-handed pass away for Smith to score there.
With all due respect, Gus, New Zealand are getting nothing out of their halves. Come on, the 7 and the 6.
No.
And that's why I'd like to see Luke go there with some spark. He's a rare talent. He'll trouble the Australians, but at the moment, again, with all due respect, Lancer Hire and Thomas Lulawai not troubling the Australian defence at all.
Here's Justin Hodges trying to put Billy Slater away. Slater tackled, 35 out from his line. Laurie on the sideline.
Yeah, 2 things the Kiwis have improved since half-time, guys. One's been their support play, and the other's been their ability to play direct. I'd be looking to get Isaac Luke onto the field as well and double-team the Australians with him and Dean Halatau out of dummy half.
Here's Gaznia stepping away from the front line tackle from one of the markers, and then dummy half Thurston gets it on to Cameron Smith, who puts it very, very high. And Brent Webb was a little bit shallow. He had to go back quickly. Dummies to Nightingale, and then his tackle just inside his 10-metre line. And a solid tackle gaining ground for the Australians from the number 16, Anthony Tupou. Here's Nightingale being thrown around like a rag doll. 2 metres out from the line. Gordon Tallis, Brett Hodgson sort of stuff. And now it's away to Saar, and he gets the ball on to Mannering. And Mannering plays it, and New Zealand going nowhere. And so they resort back to Sam Perrott, who has found some yards in the second half.
They are still going to be kicking deep from their own half. It's a good set in defence from Australia. Bang. In again. Brent Kite leading the way. Last tackle now, just 25 out from their own line. Kicking from 20.
And it's Hohaya who gets the kick away, but it's going to bounce down on the Australian 40-metre line and come back. And it's been picked up by Sedimata Saar, who's been ruled in front of the kicker and offside.
Well, they all took off for the early chase. They weren't expecting to actually get a shot at the ball. Ball's gone way back to Hohaya. Actually, Sedimata Saar might have been nearly onside, but all these other blokes aren't. He comes roaring through and gets it, and his teammates were all offside.
He was onside, Saar, yeah. But Nathan Kalis and co weren't.
He can't put them onside. Only the kicker can.
No, they were within the 10. So a good decision, but disappointment for the visitors.
So Sivanasiva to the 20-metre line. Kiwis end of the park. 22 plays 6. Australia in front. 6-0 the second half to New Zealand. Phil.
Aussies need a try here. They need to subdue this New Zealand comeback, or any thought of a comeback, by posting points themselves.
Michael Crocker with the ball. He goes behind a runner, finds Thurston, who finds Hoffman. Sivanasiva's not well in back play, although he's jogging over to get involved again. Smith gets it back. Kiter's with it. Thurston now. Then it's on to Hodges, who puts it down quite simply. And Webb is with the ball for New Zealand, but the referee is calling a halt. He's going to pack a scrum and give New Zealand the feed.
Well, I think quite simply that was going to be a try as well. Justin Hodges only about 4 or 5 metres out from the opposition when he got the football almost under control. And with New Zealand sliding, I just don't think they'd have stopped the two big men on this side with just two defenders.
Peter, I think Justin Hodges was thinking, I'm going to get this ball and I'm going to cut this bloke in two with my big right foot step and I'm going to plant it down for a try. And then he forgot to catch it.
This is Folongo, just outside the 20-metre line. Almost an hour of the game gone.
All sounded good up to the drop ball.
Up to the drop ball. Just forgot to catch the ball.
Now Nightingale. Getting away from Greg Bird's high tackle, and Michael Crocker it was with Cameron Smith who made the tackle. Now Nathan Kalis. He won't be back tonight. The captain, Roy Asatasi, has got concussion. He had blurred vision, wanted to go back on. The doctor said no. And I've just been told that he will not be back in the game tonight. Here's Israel Folau. Just outside the 30-metre line. You people watching live in Victoria, obviously very proud. Oh, good tackle from Mannering on Slater. You people should be very proud of the 8 players out here from Melbourne Storm doing a great job. For both sides of the equation, this was Slater and Mannering. Head-on tackle, picks him up, drives him down.
Yeah, I mentioned Simon Mannering early in the game, and he's a good player. He only has been playing rugby league for about 5 or 6 years. The late starter came across from Union, and he's made rapid improvement. He's a real player of the future. As Jonathan Thurston kicks the outside bin, kicks straight into the New Zealand player, led by Sonny Bill. He's gone early.
What's he doing? Sonny Bill has gone for a swallow dive half an hour too early, but he's got the football.
He snuck up on it.
He jumped a long way before the hurdle, didn't he?
He certainly did. Now it is with Perrott, who, look at him go, the little fella, like a little rubber ball. He bounces through them and continues to make metres. Now Isaac Luke, the 9. Short ball away to South Sydney teammate Folongo. He will play the ball 25 metres out from the Australian line. 22-6, and now it's with Lulawai inside for Kalis. Look to be a head clash, him and Cameron Smith. Kalis to play the ball in his 34th international. Over to Lulawai, onto Hohaya, and he goes back and gets a decoy run into Webb, and Webb away to Centenary. The big centre three-quarter is tackled on 5, 3 metres away from the line. Here's Webb again. It's gone to Hohaya. He goes higher, right up to that upright, batted back. Stacks on the mill, they're all over the shop. New Zealand have got it, but it's a penalty to them.
And finally, kicking at the posts, made it a contest. The big Australian wingers couldn't climb high and defuse. And it's worked out well.
Luke taking the tap, and Kalis grinding it ahead towards the Paddington uprights. Luke floating it, oh, it's bounced out there for Soliola. His fingertips, a certain try gone begging for the Kiwis.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear. What a great opportunity. And something happening close here. I don't know whether Sonny Bill batted that ball back, but Soliola just couldn't get it into Perrott's midsection. He had to reach up for it. The ball floats up high above his head. He'd have probably scored. That's an opportunity gone begging. Oh, dear.
Yeah, I think from the front-on vision there, you could see, despite Inglis coming across, he would have stayed in the field of play. Jonathan Thurston just clung onto the football. Gasney out of dummy half.
And the rate of possession, I looked at it about 10 from half-time. New Zealand were down to 45% of that possession, and now they're up to 54%, so there's been quite a swing, and it's been reflected on the scoreboard and on the performance of territory as well. His Bird, and Greg, he throws the pass and it went backwards, and then he got it back in again, and the referee signifies to play on as Thurston kicks on the last. Webb going across with Perrott. Here's Perrott. He's proved dangerous in the second half. In fact, he's proved very good. He plays the ball, no markers at all for Australia. Webb's out to the 40-metre line. the Kiwis with Thomas Luluwa using Sonny Bill again. He's up to the halfway line.
New Zealand somehow have got to be able to get Sonny Bill to pass to Sonny Bill. They look like the two most dangerous players on the field at the moment.
The Williams brothers. Folongo. He will play the ball. 5 metres into Australian territory. Here's Hallertown. Wisely left out there by Stephen Kearney and Wayne Bennett with Isaac Luke, the 9, now out there, of course. And here's Luluwa putting a kick in down, but straight down the throat of Greg Inglis. Not a good pass time.
Well, if you look at that from the high shot again, he had an opportunity to run that ball, or at least threaten to, before just simply kicking it to the Australian player. Watch when he runs the ball. Inglis has already gone back. He's got players on his outside. Now, a halfback can make use of that 4-on-3 if he looks up and has a look at the line.
You could have even snuck a kick across shallow behind the Australian line for his outside men. Kurt Gidley out there for the Aussies now as Michael Crocker offloads to the man I'm talking about, Gidley. His first touch, and they didn't miss him.
What a bench they've got, Australia. Gidley, Mason, Tupou and Webb, and they've only just used the services of Gidley. One of our most talented players. Here's Gaznia. 29 metres away from the Kiwi line. A spirited second half from the Kiwis. Cross kick by Thurston. Pinpoint accuracy. Hodges for Lau. And Israel. He will score. Oh, they don't do things in half measures. He wants to have a look. Israel got 2 in Wellington. And he's picked up one here tonight. There might be a sense of offside. I don't think so.
Well, Thomas Luluwa didn't see it down the other end, but Jonathan Thurston did. They're onside. That's not a problem. It is a deliberate kick for his outside chasers, just like the first one of the night landed on the chest and eventually came back from over the dead ball line. This one hit on the chest. It stuck and very unselfishly offloaded to Israel Folau. Now 4 tries in 2 tests. I don't think the sky's big enough. Maybe more like the stratosphere or the universe could be the limit for this young man.
So there it is. Try awarded to Australia. I mentioned earlier he had an enormous year in 2007, played in Melbourne's premiership winning side, youngest player to represent Australia in a test. Scored a couple of tries in that test. Dally M Rookie of the Year last year.
Yeah, sorry, Ray, I'm getting him ahead of myself. He's only got 3 in the 2 tests, but we still have got just under a quarter of this game to go. May come to fruition as Thurston adds the extras.
Thurston curling it back. Laurie Daly on the sideline.
Yeah, it's a great Australian trait, boys. When you look to be under pressure, you can just fight your way out of it and just find another gear. It just looks so easy. Jonathan Thurston just laying back on the kick, and it's just accuracy at its best, straight into the arms of Hodges, and he passed onto his right wing mate in Folau, the youngest ever representative for Australia, and that is a sensational try by the Aussies.
What about next season? Those 2 men who just combined then will be in opposite centres for Brisbane as teammates. What an awesome sight that will be as Australia now getting some football and getting some ground through Ryan Hoffman.
Cameron Smith, who leads Australia tonight for the 2nd time. Greg Bird. Clyde Churchill led the Kangaroos 27 times. And Cameron is the 7th hooker to have captained Australia. Arthur Hennessy, 100 years ago today, was a hooker and led Australia. Something about them, they must have all the brains. Here is Thurston, and that kick is going to bounce in the middle of Perrott and Webb, and it's Perrott who takes it back. So 28 to 6 now. Thurston's only missed the 1 short ball from Webb, a no-look pass. 25 metres out from the line is Soliola, who got the New Zealand try. Williams has played prominently in the 2nd half. But a lot of this, and this is a penalty. Oh, he's penalised Williams for not getting up immediately and playing the ball.
He put the ball on the ground before he gets up and may have even reached. He puts it down and yeah, well, and now he's picked it up, which you can't do either. So.
It's a really tough call.
It is a very tough call. He can put the football down as long as he's got to his feet, which he did. And then he was handled by the opposition in trying to play the football. I think it went the wrong way.
It's a very tough call. Having watched it in slow-mo, the referee didn't have that latitude. Now it's for Thurston, a show and a give the second time for Crocker. And Michael Crocker to play the ball 10 away from the line. Smith goes right, and it's with Bird, and Bird is put away 5 meters out from the Kiwi line. Now from Smith, 2 decoys went. Thurston went behind another, then to Gidley, short for Hoffman. And Hoffman is 8 meters out from the New Zealand line. They continue to pump the blind side. Thurston went that way to give numbers, but New Zealand, they slid in defence, and here's Gidley now getting a kick in. Now Hodges is after it, but he might be offside, and he loses the ball when trying to ground it. It's now simply academic. Was he onside or not? And it doesn't really matter. New Zealand will come up with it. Yeah, I think he was offside. So the Kiwis on the 30-metre line with Nathan Kalis, Parramatta to play St George Illawarra on Sunday in our Sunday afternoon telecast. And that should be a tremendous game of football on Sunday. Eels versus Dragons. You'll see that at 4 o'clock, and you'll see at 3:30 the tribute to Jack Gibson, the super coach, who passed away tonight at 6:30, repeating for the benefit of those that might have missed it earlier tonight. Jack Gibson, at 79 years of age, dying 1.5 hours before this historic match kicked off. Ohio puts it high, Folau goes higher, and then he beats Swan and put down 30 metres up. I'm reminded, you know, with the passing of Jack, that Frank Hyde, the great commentator, he died in grand final week last year. I don't know what you read into that. But again, to the Gibson family, our condolences. And to Jack, thanks for the memories. Webb played on the 40-metre line for Cam Smith to make a good run down to the 20-metre line. The lad from Logan. Now it's away from Slater to Thurston to go across. Oh, gee, Mark Gasnier is in front of the kicker. Now, if he gets involved, well, he's involved. And it's gone back for Bird, and Bird away for Inglis, and he pushes and shoves, and they should pick him up and put him over the sideline.
Just watch Greg Inglis here. He goes up for the initial kick, gets pushed over the sideline, does a pirouette, runs back into the field of play, and they pass him the ball straight away. It was quite comical.
Just inside the 10-metre line now, back on the New Zealand end of the ground. It's Perrott. Not much of him. He's tough, he's fast, he's elusive. Isaac Luke, and that's a high shot, brings a penalty for the team in black.
Yeah, Sammy Perrott, he's actually playing out of position on the wing. He's been more accustomed to playing full-back and centre these days. Sedamata Sarr. This is Inglis. Watch Inglis over here in the corner. He gets knocked down, he's out of the field of play. So up he gets, jumps back onto the wing, whoop, whoop, and now he's ready to go again.
So the Kiwis, with 9 minutes of the Bundaberg Centenary test. 9 minutes to put some more respectability on the scoreboard. Their second half has been just that, respectable. Luke goes out. The 14 is Jeremy Smith, and he gets a shunt away from one of the Australians. 11 metres out from the Australian line. Luke, now Ohio. Then Sonny Bill, a spin, and then a flick, and it's back for Soliola. And now, or from Sedamata Sarr it was, and back it goes to Luke, and Luke steps and then gets it away, and Sedamata Sarr again involved. Good support work by the Kiwis.
And numbers to the right if they can get it there quickly, but it's a slow play the ball with the swarming defence.
It took him half an hour to call held, and now it's back to Ohio, who floats it out to Sonny Bill.
You cannot doubt the effort of Sonny Bill Williams tonight. He was involved in all of that. The ball will come wide to him. He gets the ball away, and he'll find the opposition get it. So now he'll get up and chase it and drag Slater back towards the in goal. He's really put a big effort in tonight, Sonny Bill. The Kiwis would love to have a couple of him. Look at him. He is giving absolute everything he can.
Paul Gallen was probably saying, what did you pass that for, Billy? I'm copying it left, right and centre.
Don't forget this is World Cup year and these sides will meet later on. Let's say Benji Marshall is fitting well as Nathan Carlos takes it forward.
Roberts pulling out of this side today. Here's Webb. He's made the long trek back from England to play in the match together with Thomas Luluai. Sedimata Sarr changes. One left Australia, two left New Zealand. No golden point, but that's not going to be necessary. But I'm reminded of that fact by last Friday night's rather debacle when nobody knew what was going on with some of these rule changes that we're experiencing between international rules and domestic rules. Now Luke back and across for the 17. Frank Pritchard, big, strong, can he get it down?
Oh, Jonathan Thurston has just saved a certain try.
So from Luke, Ohaya, Thomas Luluai, he was there. It was like target practice for Gaznia. And the ball found the little number 7, and then Gaznia zeroed in like a Scud missile. Come here, come here.
The strength on Thurston on big Frank Pritchard. Was never going to let go of the ball. He actually got over the line. Once he had hold of the ball, he wouldn't let it go and drove him back into the field of play.
You're watching exclusive coverage of the test match, the Bundaberg Centenary test match. You're watching it as well live in Victoria, in Melbourne. And again, it's great to have you people with us live. You'll see also live the Origin series. And Origin 1, of course, just a few weeks away. Not even that. New South Wales, Queensland, from Sydney's Olympic Stadium, the ANZ Stadium, on Wednesday the 21st of May. First of 3. Nightingale, and in a touch. A legitimate tackle.
It's been a pretty tough initiation for Jason Nightingale tonight. They have peppered him fairly regularly throughout the course of this match. Not much he could do here. Willing the ball to go out. Had to play at it. And was an easy target for Justin Hodges.
Well, the crowd tonight, it's pleasing. 34,571. Sydney's biggest test crowd since 1992. And all we could hear about and read about was how it was going to be a crowd of about 20, maybe 25,000. They've done 34,500, and that's excellent. The capacity here at the moment, 38,000. Gidley goes down the left side and tries to break free. He'll play the ball 2 meters out to Gaznia. Back it comes to Bird. Slater ran a decoy, if you could call it that, and Bird will play the ball. Cameron Smith, the dummy half. Now for Paul Gallen. Goes back and it looked forward to Carl Webb, but Webb will play the ball. Cam Smith, a dummy half. Now it comes away to Big Willie. Passes. Out it goes to Bird, and Bird to Gaznia. Gaznia looking for number 3. Leaves the ball in the field of play. And it'll go back to the restart to the 10-metre line, 20 metres in for a scrum.
Well, granted, Australia didn't have a lot of football for much of the second half. And I think they did take their foot off the accelerator for some period of time. But at 28-6, the scoreline does tell us that it's been 6-all since the 22nd minute. So at least New Zealand will take something out of this game. I think Australia will probably be a little bit disappointed that they didn't go on with it. As I say, they didn't have a lot of football to do so.
Well, played by Perrott. I've got to say these two wingers, Nightingale on debut, and Perrott's only played, I think, 1 or 2 test matches. Had very strong games. Here's Williams, an outstanding second half. And it's to be hoped that Stephen Kearney and Wayne Bennett, given very much this team, with a couple of additions, obvious additions, but that young man, Stephen Kearney, or Stephen Kearney, whichever he prefers, now that they've got this lot together, I know they were humbled early, but they've been respectable in the second half. And Hohaya gets a shot away down to Slater. Outside the 20-metre line. He's looking for Folau to come round him. He comes to Adam Blair and they go up. And they get Slater running crabwise. Nathan Kalis slammed one into him. Now Folau. Back for Inglis. Greg Inglis. Churchill medalist. 25 metres out from his own line for Michael Crocker. And Crocker looking to unload. He puts it down. Advantage New Zealand for Nightingale. 20 away. 10 in from touch. Inside the final two. Ohia's pass for Blair. Blair to play the ball to Luke. It goes over then to Lulawai. Short for Williams. Offers it back for Lulawai. Gives up for Luke. And Isaac Luke will play the ball. 9 away from the line in the dying seconds of this game. 28 plays 6. Ohio inside ball for Jeremy Smith. He'll play it 5 metres out from the line. Penalty.
Turn him over.
Penalty to New Zealand, and that's against the Australian defence of Mason for interfering with the man endeavouring to play the ball. Now for Kalis and a buffeting for him from Carl Webb and Michael Crocker. Paul Gallen swept away by Luke. On for Lulawai. Now for Webb. Second man pass. Soliola gets it away for Perrin and he gets a try, the little fella. He deserves it. Marvellous second half, Sam Perrin. And he gets a try. Good work, Williams. Good work from Soliola again. They've been strong down that right side in the second half.
Well, here we are with 40 seconds from full time. There'll be no more play. Australia lead 28-10. And Sonny Bill Williams, in my opinion, has probably been the best player on the field. Nice try here to finish the game off by the Kiwis. They've shown a little bit of a liking for this right-hand side of the field tonight. Soliola and Perrott haven't always got the passing right, but on this occasion they do, and they're able to muscle their way in. And I guess something out of the second half for the Kiwis to take into their preparation for the World Cup at the end of the year. They were pretty ordinary in the first half, no doubt about that, embarrassing even, but you can see from the huddle there, they're very happy with their second half work, and that gives Stephen Kearney and Wayne Bennett something to work on in the coming months.
Luke to try and convert this last second try, reminding me that Messenger in this match 100 years ago, Australia went down 11-10, playing for Australia, Daly missed 12 goals. He missed 12 attempts at goal. Now, you can imagine there is some hooting and hollering because we have another player out there at the moment. Crowd of 34,500 people. I don't know whether they're applauding the runner or applauding the defenders.
He showed a bit of style, the streaker. He could move.
Now Isaac Luke, rudely interrupted. Rudely interrupted. In fact, Messenger, I'm told, was given another kick on one occasion because of the heckling that was going on when he took the kick. Here's Isaac Luke from the touchline. And the little rabbit converts Perrett's try, taking us to a 28-12 victory for Australia in the Bundaberg Centenary Test. So the bloke that had the 100,000 on with TAB Sportsbet, you've won yourself for every $1.18, and you never really had any palpitations. Biggest night that the TAB has had was turned over on this test match tonight. Biggest night this season, I should say. Repeating, Australia victorious over the Kiwis by 5 tries to 1. 28-12. Australia with tries to Gasnier 2. Gallen, Smith and Folau tries. The first was a classic try. The last was a classic try. And New Zealand got 2 tries. In fact, I'm just reminded that Perrott, of course, scored as well as Soliolo.